any deficit that you have can never stand against the asset that that deficit is waiting to become. Hi, I'm Craig Lounsbrough. I want to welcome you to Life Talk. You know, we come to define ourselves more by what we lack than by what we possess. We define ourselves by the successes that we haven't had, the relationships that didn't work, the careers that never happened, and the dreams that never got off the ground because they never made it to the runway. All of these things tell us everything that we are not, the assets that we don't have, the confidence that we lack, the intelligence that is never intelligent enough, the talents that we don't possess, and the determination that is never sufficiently determined. We see ourselves as a sad compilation of everything that we are not. These deficits result in shattered relationships, shuttered opportunities, job losses, financial failures, addictions, upended careers, friendships that went up in flames, and the charred remains of families that fell to the same fate. The shame and embarrassment mocks us, telling us that we are everything that is wrong with everything that went wrong. And surrounded by so many failures that evidence both the depth and number of our deficits, we become defined by those very deficits. We feel that there is nothing else that we can define ourselves by. We are lulled or sometimes thrust into the belief that we are the sum total of our failures, and soon believing becomes becoming. You know, the power of thought, I want you to think about this. Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Now that's both incredibly powerful but wildly dangerous. We become what we think. We think ourselves into who we are. Therefore, we can think ourselves into the deficits that we think about. We can let those things define us until we ourselves are convinced of that definition. And so, what is the big question anyway? Well, the question becomes, who are we really? Are we defined by our deficits? Is that our lot in life? Is there no escaping the things that we've screwed up? Do they leave an indelible mark of defeat and incompetence? I want you to think about, where are our greatest assets? Are our greatest assets in our deficits? Is it possible that we are defined far more by the potential that rests in the deficit than the deficit itself? Do the roots of something great lay deep in our worst failures? Our lives are assets in the making. We are always standing on the verge of becoming something better, something greater. The better in our lives is always just one step away, one decision away, one choice away, one attitude shift away. The better is always that close and never any farther away than that. The asset that any one of our deficits can become will always be far greater than the deficit from which it arose. Assets birthed of our deficits become the greatest parts of who we are. Taking what we believe to be defeat, seeing the rudimentary elements of victory embedded in that defeat, and turning that defeat into decisive victory is the stuff of true victory. You know, when we think, I think we think backwards. God turns life on its head, you know. He reverses the order of things. What is dead dies to death and becomes alive. Water surrenders its fluidity to feet that walk on it. Blindness becomes blinded by light. Legs that limp become legs that leap. Food for thousands from food for one. Millions from pennies. It's all backwards. Gloriously backwards. You know, sin destroys. It sets everything back. That's its single mission and sole agenda. God not only shuts sin down, he throws it in reverse. he works it against itself. As Joseph said to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." It's all reversed. God walks us back from death to life, from hopelessness to hope, from fear to faith, from lives engulfed in deficits to lives empowered by assets. Well, we don't think that way. The problem is, we don't think that way at all. Any belief that things might actually work this way is beaten out of us by the messages that our failures have beaten into us. We might visualize stopping something bad in our lives, or at least slowing it down. Maybe we can rein it in, or maybe we can even temper it a bit. But we don't think in terms of reversals. Radical, impossible, improbable, ingenious, and wildly liberating reversals. Sin says that we can't do that. God says that we're supposed to do that. And so, what is the purpose of deficits anyway? Our deficits were meant to be reversed. That's what we have them for. And in the reversal, they become the assets that we never visualized them becoming. Hidden deep within our failures, there lays all of the composite parts that set the stage for our greatest successes. The worst of us contains the lessons that teach us how to be the best of us. Therefore, our deficits do not define who we are. Rather, they tell us who we can become. And so, we are more than our deficits. The deficits that define you are the ones that you've allowed to define you. God says that you are more than any deficit or combination of deficits. And that more is boldly stated in the 31 I am statements outlined in the Bible. That more is laid out for you to embrace, ingest, and incorporate into your life in wildly wonderful and transformational ways. I want you to know that your more is waiting for you. You will find all 31 of these I am statements outlined in my new book entitled Taking It to Our Knees, Declaring Who I Am. This book is a fresh, entirely thought-provoking, and richly insightful 31-day devotional that will assist you in both discovering and living out your real self. You will find Taking It to Our Knees, Declaring Who I Am on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Thanks for joining us on Life Talk today. You will find Life Talk on most podcast platforms, as well as YouTube. I would also encourage you to check out our daily posts on all of our social media sites. Thanks for being here today. We'll see you next time. Who am I? I am what everyone needs me to be. My job, my relationships, my family, the culture. I have become what they've wanted me to be. And having lost myself in it all, I find myself asking one of the most important questions I will ever ask. Who am I? And whoever that is, where